Hi everyone, welcome to Live Penguin TV. My name is Jordan, I'm your host tonight, and this evening we are going to be watching the smallest species of penguin make their way home in the rain across the beach here on Phillip Island in Victoria, Australia at the Penguin Parade. Now tonight we have a very special new face joining us, assisting me in the live stream tonight, and that is Anna. So Anna, come in and say hello and let us know a little bit about yourself, because I'm sure everyone will be very eager to see a new face, and tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi everyone, my name's Anna. I'm a ranger here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, and while I'm normally out on tours getting to see all of your friendly faces, I'm actually in here joining you with the live stream this evening and hopefully into the future. So keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully I'll be on screen with you again soon. Thanks, Jordan.
Beautiful. Thank you, Anna. So Anna's very, very excited to be here. This is her very first night, and tonight through the live stream, Anna is going to be monitoring some of your questions coming through on YouTube. So at any point throughout the stream, if you've got a burning question that you would love to have answered, put it on Facebook, put it on YouTube. We will be having a dedicated team of penguin rangers going through on Facebook and answering all those questions within about 24 hours or so. But we can't do that on YouTube, unfortunately, which is why Anna's going to be mainly monitoring YouTube questions tonight. So if we don't get to your question this evening, we've only got about 20 or 30 minutes to watch these beautiful little penguins making their way home, and we can't possibly answer all of the ones that are coming through on the stream. So keep tuning in, keep asking those questions night after night, and hopefully we will be able to get to your questions. Now, you might have noticed that we've actually started the stream a little bit early tonight, and that is because it is dark and stormy, and as you can see, there's a few little rain splotches on our camera, and the reason we are starting early is because a few penguins have actually been spotted at the water's edge. So normally that doesn't happen until after about 8 o'clock, although it looks like there's a big, scary looking Pacific gull. Two scary looking Pacific gulls. One is having a lovely time out in the water. These are a predator of the little penguins, or mainly their chicks. So it is still fairly light outside despite the kind of dark and stormy conditions. And while these big, beautiful, big silver gulls might not be actually eating our penguins tonight, it might be enough to worry them. So our penguin counter tonight is Heather, and she has spotted some of our beautiful blue penguins washing up at the edge of the water because it is so dark. So the reason they've come in a little bit earlier tonight is when it gets dark and when it's kind of stormy around about sunset, the light levels decrease a lot quicker than what they normally would. And penguins are very, very clever. They know that when the sun sets, when it gets dark enough, they can cross the open sandy beach and not get swooped down on by any predatory birds. Oh, in fact, here they are, well and truly away from those Pacific gulls further over that way. So they're out in the ocean all day with there's someone running back. Their beautiful blue feathers on their backs help them camouflage against the water, so they're quite safe. I think these three who have remained are you gonna run back? Yes, I thought you might. So they're quite well camouflaged, these penguins, during the day out at sea. But when they cross the open sandy beach at night, it's really important that they know that big predatory birds such as Pacific gulls that we just saw earlier, swamp harriers, sea eagles, and whistling kites have returned to nest for the night. So they can cross the beach and not get swooped down on. So we've had a nice big kind of rain. We've had a lot of rain in the last couple of hours here on Phillip Island, which is why the penguins are very eager to get home because it gets darker a little bit earlier when there's lots of cloud cover. So here we can see a nice little group of penguins. They would have come into the shore as a raft. So a group of penguins out at sea is called a raft. R-A-F-T, and when they start waddling their way across the beach, they will transform into a group of penguins that we affectionately like to call a waddle. So hello all you waddle watchers out there watching Live Penguin TV tonight. I hope you're ready for another night, and hopefully we're going to have lots of penguin numbers coming in because we are right in the middle of the breeding season, and I'm sure there is a burning question on all of your minds, and that is how many penguins crossed the beach last night. So we count the penguins for 50 minutes every night. So if you were tuning in last night, we wouldn't have given you an answer as as to how many penguins cross the beach, because our stream only runs for about 30 minutes or so. But lovely Anna over here has the magic number of penguins that crossed the beach last night. So Anna, can you tell us how many penguins that was?
So everyone, last night we had a large number of 2,901 penguins cross the beach.
2,901 penguins? My golly goodness, that is a lot of penguins for our penguin counters to count tonight. And I think, is it Heather counting?
Heather's counting this evening.
Heather is our main counter tonight. So Heather is a familiar face that you would have seen on the live stream. She's out there with a pair of binoculars waiting for these penguins to cross the beach and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100 penguins. So as these little penguins are crossing the beach tonight, let us know in the comments how many penguins you think are in each waddle, and also let us know your predictions to how many penguins are going to cross the beach tonight, and see if you can maybe play a bit of penguin lotto with your family, and tune in night after night and you'll find out which family member got the closest guess correct. So these guys, yeah, they're very wary, aren't they? They are definitely not, something has scared them, running back into the water. They know that they probably can see that those two Pacific gulls out there, and they'll be out in the water going, huck, 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 huck. We need more friends, we need more companions to cross the beach with, because there's safety in numbers and you'll look like one big animal rather than lots of little ones. So they want to have as many friends with them to cross the beach as possible. So you can see by hanging around just at the water's edge, I reckon they can probably hear another raft, so another group of penguins out in the water, and they will be waiting for that raft to swim on in and join them across the beach. So I might just zoom out quickly for a moment and we'll see if we can see any movement, maybe any rafts coming in. It's a little bit choppy and rough out in the ocean at the moment, so it might be a bit tricky to spot those rafts. So apologies on the really clear nights. We can clearly follow them as they make their way to the shore, but let us have a look over this way and see if those Pacific gulls are still hanging around. I've only got a very small screen to watch them on tonight, but I don't think I can see them, which is great for these penguins. So we don't miss the action, I will head on back to them. It looks like they've come out of the water just a little bit. And when they feel comfortable, when they feel like there's enough penguins with them, when they think that it's dark enough to cross the open sandy beach without getting swooped down on, that is when they'll make a beeline for their home on Phillip Island. So you might have just seen a little bit earlier when I zoomed out that there were some people standing on the Penguins Plus stand. So we are officially open to regional Victoria. So for those of you who live in regional Victoria, you can come and visit us here at the Penguin Parade. We've got a maximum of 50 people allowed to watch these penguins here on a Friday, Saturday and Sunday night. And Phillip Island Nature Parks, the organisation that manages the Penguin Parade, has been managing it since about 1996. But we've had people coming to the Penguin Parade for over 100 years since European settlement, but they actually weren't the first people to watch these penguins cross the beach. In fact, the first people to watch these penguins cross the beach would have done so up to 10,000 years ago. So the Bunurong are the traditional custodians of the land here on Phillip Island that they call Malau, and our records show that they've been coming over to Phillip Island to Malau for up to 10,000 years ago. So they live very, very peacefully and came over to Malau seasonally and live very harmoniously with the land and with the penguins, and I'd like to think that they were able to come and there's lots of natural resources here on Phillip Island that would have been able to sustain them, and they would have been able to watch the penguins coming home at sunset as they've done for many thousands of years. So I would like to acknowledge the Bunurong as the traditional custodians of the land here on Malau and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and thank them for their care and connection to country and looking after this wonderful place for so many thousands of years. And now we get to benefit from this by seeing a very, very healthy colony of little penguins, 32,000 strong. So I've actually been watching in the comments, and people have been posting where they're joining us from and who the traditional custodians of the land are on that they're watching us from. So let us know first of all, where you're joining us from tonight, and pay your respects to the Indigenous people of the area that you're watching live Penguin TV from. It shows a lot of respect, and people have been getting educated about the country that they've been on, the language that the Indigenous people speak, and who the Indigenous people are. So it's been a really, really great thing to see. Alrighty, look at these guys. They are slowly starting to make their way home. It looks like there's a very brave one off over there. Are you going to be the leader all the way across the beach? What do we think? So if you've only just joined us, everyone, you'll notice that we've actually started this stream a little bit earlier tonight because we've had quite a bit of rain here on Phillip Island. So the penguins know that when it gets darker early, if we've got lots of rain or a storm, predatory birds that would love to snack on a penguin as they cross the beach at night will have returned to bed. They've gone to sleep for the night, which means these little penguins, the smallest of the 18 species of penguins in the world. Oh, looks like we've got another little raft joining us just over here. It means they can cross the beach without getting snacked on for a late night snack of these predatory birds. I reckon with this second group that's coming along now, that looks like there's a few hanging out at the back that are still a little bit unsure. And you know what, that's totally fair enough. But I reckon they're going to be a little bit more confident. So let us zoom in on these penguins and watch them stumble over the rocks. Oh, looks like a few of them at the back have decided, nope, this is not happening. We are going back. Look at them using their flippers as kind of balance. Sometimes all it takes is one penguin to have seen something or think it's seen something, and we might have a group of over 100, or a waddle, sorry, of over 100 running back into the water. And that makes it very, very tricky for our penguin counter to count penguins because Heather, as I said, is our counter tonight, and she will start counting these penguins when they get to the halfway point on the beach, because typically at that point, if something scares them, they'll run up into the vegetation and into the sand dunes, so onto land. But if they're not quite at that halfway point, they will run back into the water where they can camouflage against the surface of the water, dive and be nice and safe. But these penguins, they look like they're on a mission. They are not stopping for anyone. So counting is a very, very difficult job. And in fact, Anna, I think you've done a little bit of counting recently in the lockdown, haven't you?
Yeah, I certainly have. Lots of penguins on a very busy night, so it's a really challenging task for the penguin counter.
Very, very tricky. Anna, do you recall, sorry, I know I'm putting you on the spot just now, what's the largest group that you think you've ever counted?
I believe I counted a group of about 300 penguins, but I know rangers have counted groups closer to about 800 penguins. So that's a lot of penguins.
My golly goodness. So 300 penguins, you know what? 50 penguins is a lot of penguins. 300 is a lot, but can you imagine with a pair of binoculars when it's dark, when it's raining, trying to count over 800 penguins crossing the beach? They're only about 33 centimeters or 1 foot tall, and you might be 50 to 100 meters away from them sometimes counting them. So counting is a very, very tricky job. But these penguins, I believe, have well and truly crossed the halfway point on the beach. So I reckon we probably will have an official start of the count very, very shortly. And let us know in the comments how many penguins you think were in this group. And because it's a really, really tricky thing to count penguins, we've asked Heather if she's not too busy counting penguins, if she can let us know how many are in each group making their way home. But we're not going to disturb her because it's a very, very tricky job. It looks like there's someone coming up at the back. But yeah, if we do get a number, we will let you know. Look at them waddle and jump all over the rocks. It looks like we've still got our waterfall. So for those of you who have been watching the last couple of nights, we definitely have our waterfall, but it doesn't seem to be quite as forceful, rapids quite as much. We've got a question or something over here, Anna?
Yeah, we've got a number.
A number, great.
You've all put your numbers, guesses in the comments, but our first group tonight was 49 penguins.
49 penguins. I hope you had your counting caps on. And yeah, if you got anywhere close to like 45 or 55, you did really, really well. Counting penguins is actually a job here at Phillip Island Nature Park. So if you would like to move down to Phillip Island and hang out with penguins at night, that is definitely a job for you. Look at these guys hanging out on the rocks. I wonder if they're going to have a little bit of a rest or if they're going to keep on going. So looks like a few of them have stopped, having a bit of a shake, a bit of a stretch, de-stressing after their big dangerous dash across the beach. As I said, it is still fairly light, so there is the potential for some predators to still be around. I always love watching penguins jumping off this dive board just over here, and it looks like we've got some penguins coming up the Penguin Highway. So I'm just going to pan to this one over here, and you get to see the penguins up nice and close. This is a really, really great spot because every penguin, just like you and I, they've got their own address. So they come up the highway, they know where their exit is, they know where the residential streets and their driveways are. So they are zooming up that highway, and whether they have a beautiful beachside residence and are only on the highway for just a little bit of time, or whether they might be there for up to 2 kilometres, who can say? These penguins have decided they're going to stop and do a little bit of penguin yoga, preen themselves, catch their breath because their heart's up. Looks like we've got another group coming up the highway just now. They are very happy preening themselves on the resting rocks just over here. Let us now pan back to the beach and see if we can see any more groups starting to cross. Oh, yep, here we go. It's a nice big group. There we go. Have a go counting this group, everyone. 49 schmorty-1. That is easy. Now have a go crossing this monster of a waddle, making its way across the beach over here. I did mention a little bit earlier as well that we are monitoring the YouTube comments as this stream goes on. So Anna's going to be looking at all your questions on YouTube. So at any point, make sure you post your questions on either Facebook or YouTube, and I will throw to Anna a couple of times throughout the stream and get some of your wonderful questions answered. So don't make them too hard for me, Anna, or all you waddle watchers out there. So we might go to a question now, and we'll see how we're going. Let's have it, Anna.
Yeah, so the first question we have here is from David, and David would like to know, do we help the penguins get across the rocks, or do we do anything to assist? It looks quite difficult.
Actually, you know what? I've got a bit of a story that I'm going to tell about this one. Thanks, David. So penguins are pretty tough and pretty resourceful. They can jump about, So David, I'm going to pause. If you have a look in the top right-hand corner of your screens, everyone, looks like we've got a penguin on the highway going the wrong way. If you're a regular watcher of live penguin TV, you'll know exactly what is going on. That penguin is not lost. It's not confused. It's a female penguin we call a shell gritter. It's a female penguin who's been in her burrow all day, and now that it's dark and safe to do so, she is making her way down to the beach to nibble on little bits of seashells because she's got eggs developing inside her. And in the last 4 to 5 days of egg development, that's when the eggshell starts to form, and female penguins kind of get cravings for calcium. So she's going down to snack on a little bit of seashell and get some calcium to make her eggshell nice and strong. So if you see any penguins going the opposite way tonight, that is exactly what's going on, because we are right in the heart of the breeding season. And after I answer David's question, I'm going to pan to a little bit inland and we'll see if we can see any brown fluffy chicks outside their burrow. Oh, here we go. So we've got lots and lots of penguins coming in. Now, the question was, while we're watching the penguins crossing the rocks, do we do anything to help them? And like, how do they kind of get across the rocks? Beautiful. So they can kind of jump their kind of full body height, so about 33 centimeters. And all the rocks that we have here, they're kind of layered, which means the penguins can kind of hop between the rocks. So they're little kind of rock hoppers, but they're not as good at hopping over rocks as the northern and southern rock hopper penguins that don't live anywhere near here. So they're pretty good at crossing these rocks just over here. Now we don't normally pan over to the other side of the penguin parade, but I just want to kind of show you, because I've got a little bit of a story, and I was doing some work in the sand dunes off over this way to the east stand. Because it's a little bit dark tonight, you can kind of just see them. Alrighty, so on the far side of the beach over here, There's actually a few little pathways going up into the sand dune. You can see, oh, and in fact, I can see a hole, but there's some short-tailed shearwaters in the air. They're a little bit blurry. It's a bit hard to see. Some migratory birds that call Phillip Island home. There's actually a few kind of sand ramps up onto the east stand over here that we've actually excavated for the penguins. Because it's a little bit hard to see, I might just jump back to the rocks over here. But because we're increasingly getting rising sea levels and increasing storm surges, what it's doing is the water, all the waves are kind of cutting into the sand dunes. It's causing a lot of cliffing and erosion, which is very difficult for penguins to get home. While they're quite capable of jumping over the rocks over here at Penguins Plus, some of the cliffing and erosion that was happening further along the beach that I just showed you was like as tall as me, or kind of even more. So the poor penguins had absolutely no chance. So I was part of a project with Megan, one of our fellow live stream hosts, that we set up some camera traps that recorded penguins at dark trying to cross the beach and head up certain pathways. And we found that penguins well, I did mention they like they've got their own address, so they're very, very stubborn. I'm going to call them stubborn, not stupid, because they always come up in the same spot, and it takes them a little while to work out that they just, even though they might have been able to go on there weeks before or years before, they still want to come up that certain pathway. So we found the kind of spots that they really, really wanted to cross, and historically they would have been able to enter the colony via that way, but because of the clipping and erosion, they haven't been able to. So it was about a 2 or 3 month long study that Megan and I did, and we're like, yep, we want to have some kind of artificial penguin pathways here, here, and here. And now the penguins have a nice cruisy ramp that they get to enter the colony from, because over there on that other side of the beach, that's right at the edge of the colony. So we wanted to help those penguins out there. So while we don't help David, to long story short, while we don't help the penguins out over here at the rocks, it's a fairly kind of gradual gradient, a fairly gradual incline to get over to land and enter the colony. In the spots where we've got lots of sand dunes and not so much rocks, we have to sometimes help with the penguin pathways entering those colonies. So yeah, thank you for that one. I don't think I've actually told that story on the live stream before, so it was a good one. Thanks for asking about something that I've done in the past. Alrighty, I think Anna might have another question or another number for us over here.
I do have another number for you, Jordan. So for everyone wanting to know how many were in that big second group, we had 402 penguins in that second group tonight.
402 penguins. Send your love and all your luck to Heather. That is a lot of penguins to cross the beach. And also bear in mind that when the penguins are crossing the beach, they're not crossing just on the one pathway. There's multiple different pathways all along the beach. So our penguin counters have to have their eyes everywhere all at once. So it's a very, very tough, a very, very tricky job to count them just over here. But it's something that we've been doing here at the Penguin Parade. Look at them jumping. Alf, come on, what are you going to do? Oh, that wasn't very graceful. It's part of a really long-term study counting penguin that we've done since nearly every single night since 1968, and it helps us monitor the health of the colony and look for any trends. Helps us determine when the breeding season is, when molting might begin, to see if the penguins are doing really, really well, because the higher numbers of penguins that we get means there's lots of food around, so it tells us a fair bit about how much food is around the place as well. So I'm just going to pan over here now, everyone. It looks like we're a little bit banked up on this little hill heading up over here. Are you guys just chilling? I've just spotted something a little bit exciting in these artificial mortgage-free nest boxes just over here. And I think I've just spotted a couple of penguin chicks. So if you've been watching over the last couple of nights, Megan and I have spotted these beautiful little things coming out of their burrows, because they would have been in their burrows all day while Mum and Dad have been out in the ocean. And now that it's dark and safe, come around so we can see you. They can come out and bother any adults coming by. Okay, we've got a little bit of action going on just over here. We do have a few... We've got a few nest boxes over here with chicks in it. This one might be a little bit tricky to see, so I'm just going to zoom out a little bit and go and see if I can find another one. Of course, you come out as soon as I start moving away. Typical penguins, always out to get me. Let us have a look. There's a lot of poo over here, so that's a very indicative sign that there's some penguin chicks around. In fact, I think I can see a little face hanging out just in here. Oh, you're all being a bit shy tonight. Yep, so the chicks here, this one I believe I saw last night. You can see it's a little brown and fluffy, whereas the adults that are going by have beautiful blue feathers on their back and white feathers on their tummy. They they look a little bit different, a little bit more brown and fuzzy compared to their parents. So let us keep having a look, and we'll keep trying our luck to see if we can find any more chicks hanging around. Is there anyone over here? Is that a little brown fluffy back that's to us? I think it might be. Yes, it is. So over here we have a beautiful little brown fluffy chick that's probably only about 3 or 4 weeks old, but you can see it's quite big. It almost looks like the same size as an adult penguin, and that's because chicks and penguins in general have a very, very rich fatty diet, lots of omega-3 in the pilchards, anchovies, and squid and things that they like to eat. So they grow very, very quickly. And what penguin chicks spend most of their time doing? You're going to be entering back into the burrow. Is it a bit cold and wet? Maybe that's why. Yep, we just saw it go inside. How cute. They spend a lot of their energy losing their little baby feathers and growing their beautiful blue adult feathers on their back and white feathers on their tummy. So I'm thinking because of the rain that you can kind of see, it's a little bit cold and wet for the chicks to be outside their burrow. So you might focus on these penguins just up on the hill over here. And a few weeks ago, you might have been watching this spot where there was a standoff between a backlog of penguins and a mama goose with 2 baby goslings who would not let these guys go past. But it doesn't look like these guys have been stopped by the goose tonight. There is no standoff, but they're just having a break before they make their way up the hill, which is a very, very steep hill. I've climbed that hill many, many times with a 10-kilogram backpack on, and the penguins get up there much easier and much quicker than I do. So they're very, very good at climbing up over rocks, over vegetation and all kinds of things. And David, just getting back to your question about do we assist penguins getting home, because the reason penguins are so good at climbing over rocks and climbing up really, really steep cliffs and things, they've got very, very sharp nails. And in fact, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see, I've got quite a few, bit of an awkward angle, quite a few scratches that have been donated to me by, by these beautiful little penguins that look so cute, but they are very, very feisty and very vicious if they want to be. And speaking of donating, if you would like to help us protect these beautiful little penguins here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, you can donate to the Penguin Foundation, and the link is just in the description below. So here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, we're a non-for-profit conservation organisation, and we get most of our money to protect penguins, to go towards their rehabilitation and ongoing conservation and research through ecotourism. But while we have limited numbers, if you would like to help us with our conservation efforts here, you can donate to the Penguin Foundation by adopting a penguin, making a donation, or becoming a penguin pal and getting one of these cute little plush toys that we have just over here. And we very, very much appreciate it. We've been blown away by your generosity. So thank you to everyone who has donated in the past. And if you're thinking of donating as well, any spare change that you've got, as I said, is very, very much appreciated. We're very grateful for it. Let us now go back to the beach and we'll see if we can spot any more penguins. Don't think I can see anything. There's still a whole stack of them hanging out on the rocks. Everyone, Anna, oh, look at that rain. It's starting to get very, very heavy. But the penguins don't mind. They spend all day. They can spend a few days, up to a few weeks out in the ocean at a time. So a bit of rain as they cross the beach home isn't too much of a worry for them. So while we don't have any just over here, I will jump back to the rocks. And everyone, Anna has just informed me that we've got about 5 or so minutes left of the stream tonight. So we will be wrapping up in 5 or so minutes. But if you've joined me watching the live stream before, you'll know that my 5 minutes usually turns into 10 minutes. I'll try to stick to the time tonight. Everyone knows, even on my tours, I'm not very good at sticking to time. I will just talk and talk and talk about these penguins. So get your questions coming in. Remember, if we don't get to all of them while I'm kind of talking about all things penguin, or if I don't throw to Anna for every single question that we've got, because there's hundreds that come in every single night, tune in night after night, and on Facebook we will be getting a ranger back to you within the next 24 hours or so. And I have been talking for a fair while, so I might throw to Anna for another question just as we watch these guys jump off the little diving board, if that's what they want to do, and make their way into the little bit of a puddle. All right, let's go for it, Anna. Let's have a question.
So we have a couple of questions here. So the first question I've got for you, Jordan, is do we name the penguins? And that's by Sophie.
Sophie, do we name the penguins? I would love to name the penguins, but unfortunately, because we have so many of them, we're not creative enough to think of 32,000 names. So no, unfortunately, we don't name all of them. Oh, we're going to do a bit of a jump. Whoop. That was a nice graceful cannonball over there. So no, we don't name all of them. They all kind of look the same to us. Kudos to you guys if you can find the little kind of individual differences between them. But what we do with some of the penguins, we've got a few different research study sites here on Phillip Island, and some of the penguins that are in those, or the penguins that live in those study sites are microchipped. So just like a dog or a cat, you take it to a vet and get it microchipped when you get it. That's just like what these penguins have here. And a microchip is gives them a name, or it really gives them a number. So it might be penguin 23A57B2. So they've all got a unique kind of string of numbers and letters that lets us know who they are. And if they're in the study site, we can track how kind of who they're breeding with, so we can see how often they stay with their partner or how often they get divorced. We can see how well they are how good they are at sitting on chicks and raising their young as well. And sometimes in these study sites we might put little GPS loggers on them and which show us where they're going out in the ocean as well. So while we might not have a name like Jordan, myself, or Anna over here, these penguins with the microchip do have kind of a unique identifying code, so we know exactly who they are. That said, looks like we've got another shell gritter on the top right-hand corner. Off she goes to look for some little seashells. You can see her looking down at the ground to look for any shells or rocks that might be there as well. But that said, sometimes, because penguins have their own address, if they are in a very prominent burrow, you kind of get familiar. It's like, oh, yep, there's that penguin, and especially if they have any unique identifying features. I remember there was one that we called the Hulk, just because it was a really, really big male, and it was just noticeably bigger than everyone else. So we all called it the Hulk. I haven't seen him for a little while. I'm thinking he might have moved burrows. So no, unfortunately, we don't have a name for the penguins. But if you do adopt a penguin, you can symbolically adopt it and name it yourself. So when you're watching the live stream or when you come and join us here at the Penguin Parade, you can keep an eye out for that penguin that you've named and adopted. We would absolutely love that. Now, Anna said there was a few questions. She's hammering me with them tonight, which is great. Let's go for another one.
So I've got another question, and this question's about what qualifications do you need to work with the penguins? So maybe you can give some information on your own story, Jordan.
Absolutely, and I'm going to ask you the exact same question, Anna. So that was, what kind of qualifications do you need to work here at the Penguin Parade? So the good news for everyone over here is that we have so much diversity in the amount of background and skills that people have that work here at the Penguin Parade. I myself, I've got 3 degrees. I went a little bit crazy at uni. I did a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Science where I majored in zoology in my science degree, and I did a double major in physical, geography and Chinese language in my arts degree. And then I went on to do a Master of Environment and Sustainability. So I've got fairly significant university debt, go me. But we have people here, so Megan, for example, she did her honours year, so she's got a degree in penguins. She did a research year focusing on penguins. We've got people, in fact, one of my good friends who used to work here, Emily, she was studying to be a nurse. We've got landscapers, we've got electricians, we've got all kinds of people who actually work here at the Penguin Parade. And if you're wanting to work here, counting penguins, being on the boardwalks, talking to people and running tours and things like that, the best and most important thing, most important quality to have to work here, there's 2 of them, must love penguins, and you have to be able to talk to people, because one of the biggest parts of our job here at the Penguin Parade is to talk to people and educate people and inspire them, get people really excited about these penguins, and think about ways that we can help protect penguins while you're visiting here at the Penguin Parade and also back at home as well. So doing things like reducing how much plastic that you're using at home. You might have a reusable keep cup. You might have your reusable shopping bag when you go to the shops, or a metal straw so you're not using single-use plastic straws. Talking to people, getting them excited about penguins, being able to interact with people and inspire them to make small changes in their lives to help protect these beautiful little penguins and make their journey home that little bit easier. So that's a little bit about me and the general kind of overview of what you need to work at the Penguin Parade. Tell us a little bit about your background, Anna.
Thanks so much, Jordan. So I'm a little bit like Jordan, though not as degree happy. So I did my environmental science and management degree at university. So got that passion for the environment, love living sustainably, and I spend a lot of time volunteering. So worked with bandicoots and wallabies and of course penguins. So if you're interested, definitely recommend going down the path of environmental studies. It's definitely worthwhile and so much fun.
Absolutely. And you feel like you get to hang out with penguins, you get to hang out with all this amazing wildlife, and you get to know that you're making a difference as well, which is something that's really important in my career trajectory as well as Anna's as well. So, good question. I don't think we've had that one before. Was there any more questions? Because I know you said you had a few of them for me.
What are some of the other animals, Jordan, that live here on the Summerland Peninsula?
Some other animals that live here on the Summerland Peninsula. I just thought I'd have a little bit of a look and see what's happening in the colony. It looks like we've got a few penguins, one on the beach and 3 hanging out. There's a few on the beach actually, in the vegetation just in front of us. So Anna mentioned earlier about wallabies. So we've got swamp wallabies, which are kind of like the little cousins of a kangaroo. We can see a few more crossing the beach. It looks like we might have a shell gritter going the opposite way as well. So we don't have any kangaroos on Phillip Island, just swamp wallabies. We've also got Cape Barren geese, so those big grey birds that you might have seen standing off against the penguins as they were making their way home. You saw a little bit earlier in the stream today, we've got Pacific gulls it's like the bigger version of the silver gulls that would love to steal your chips. Oh, have we got a bit of courting behaviour over here? I think this male penguin has a bit of a crush on the female, and in fact, I think we're just about to see some mating. But he's not quite on there just yet. Yep, there you go, buddy. Good work. He's flapping his flippers really, really quickly so that he doesn't lose balance and flip off. So that could potentially be its breeding partner, or it could be a cheeky boyfriend or girlfriend that its partner doesn't know about. So shh, we won't tell if you don't. What else have we got? We've got ringtail and brush-tail possums. We've got powerful owls that live here on Phillip Island. We saw last night some masked lapwings, which are some very swoopy birds that will, if you get close to their nest, will kind of swoop down on you just like an Australian magpie would. And I think also last night, if you're watching with Megan, there were 2 beautiful sooty oyster catchers that love snacking on some of the oysters that we have around the place. So what we're witnessing in front of us just here, everyone, are some special penguin cuddles. And in the next 20 days or so, if they are successful, that female who's getting a bit of a back massage at the moment, it's very nice, will be laying 2 little eggs that are the size of small chicken eggs. So good luck to you guys. I hope it all goes well. Alrighty, everyone. So we are going to have to wrap up now. I told you my 5 minutes will turn into 10. I cannot stop talking. So I hope you've had a really lovely time watching these penguins crossing the beach tonight. I hope you've learned a little bit and feel empowered to try and reduce how much plastic that you're using so that these penguins, when they're out in the ocean, don't mistake little bits of plastic out there for food and then bring it home to their chicks. So remember, very, very small changes such as coffee cups, reusable straws and your reusable shopping bags are really great ways to help protect these guys and prevent any more plastic from entering out into the environment. If you also want to help in other ways, you can donate to the Penguin Foundation. The link is just in the description below. We would love more than anything for you to be coming to us here at the Penguin Parade when it is safe to do so. So for you regional Victorians, hopefully we'll be able to see you on Friday, Saturdays and Sunday in the very, very near future. the rest of Melbourne and Australia shortly after that. And of course, the rest of the world, we're really looking forward to welcoming you back here at the Penguin Parade. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're excited to come and see us back when it is safe to do so. But in the meantime, stay sane and stay safe. Tune in night after night. I think it's going to be Megan and I both nights on the weekend. Lucky you guys. You won't be able to get enough of us this week. So, Anna, come in and say goodbye to everyone, and then we will sign off with our signature hug. So, bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Hug, 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 hug. Bye. Hug, hug.